Hi everyone. We decided to do a video forecast tonight for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that there's some pretty nasty weather on the way later on tonight and into tomorrow morning, but the main reason is to explain about our upgrade to our forecasting software, as well as us having access to some data that we didn't have access to before. And these are some very high resolution computer model charts that I'll explain to you a little bit more in just a moment. So this is a standard chart that you see quite often whenever we put a video forecast on, and it shows the isobars and the high and low pressure areas, and you can see the winds following the isobars, and you can see this is later on tonight, and you can see this kink in the isobars, which is showing where there's a front coming through. Now this is where one of the upgrades is going to be quite handy. So you can see this area of rain moving through, and the colours. You've got these nice colours now compared to before, which was just a blue scale. So yeah, we've got these nice colours showing the rainfall. So it shows the intensity of the rain, which is really going to be handy in the coming months, especially in the summer when we get heavier downpours with thunderstorms and things like that. So let's go on to the next data. So this is one of the high resolution computer model charts. Now this is down to 3 kilometers. So this is the 3 kilometer chart, which is showing some very good data here, or should I say some very good resolution detail. And this is some of the showers that have been moving through this evening, and they'll continue to do so as we head through the night. In fact, there's even still a few around towards the early hours of the morning, but you start to see this area of rainfall moving in from the west, which for a time is going to be really quite intense. Although by the time it reaches us, it loses quite a bit of its power and becomes, it's not quite as bad by this point. So we'll skip back a couple of hours there, and we'll overlay the wind. So you can see the winds coming up from the south, or even southeast, just out here to the west. This is at 5 AM. 8 AM, we've got winds southerly, possibly a hint round to the southeast, and then by 11 AM, the winds for a time get really quite strong, especially along the western, southern, and eastern coast of the island. So now we'll get into the very high resolution detail. So this is the temperature for tonight, and you can see here the obviously the actual numbers showing in degrees Celsius, and you can see over the next few hours the temperatures start to drop away. In fact, generally they fall to 3 or 4 degrees in some places. Now as these showers move through, because there will still be some showers moving through at this point, we could see some sleet or even a little bit of wet snow in a few places, especially over high ground. But as we head through later in the night, the temperatures start to rise a little bit. We get another little drop off in the early hours of the morning, but then later on they start to rise again. And generally it's central parts of the island that will be seeing temperatures around 4, with coastal areas closer to 6. So out here in the west, the south and the east, we're going to be seeing temperatures around 6, but 4 to 5 generally across the island. Now also around this time we're going to be seeing the winds increasing, even though over the land they won't be that strong at this point. We'll zoom out just a touch here. We'll overlay the wind arrows, so you can see these winds southerly or south-southeasterly coming in. This is 5 AM and 6 AM. We've got 7 AM and then 8 AM. So you've got these winds on the coast here really quite strong. So we're seeing strengths of around anywhere between 38 and 42 knots really. But then by 9 AM and 10 AM we've got these really strong winds here. So the winds for a time on the way up to between 10 AM really and midday, we're going to be seeing average speeds of around 45 knots, with gusts 55-60 knots. So in miles per hour we're looking at gusts of around anything between 62 and 68 miles per hour for a time. But then later on in the afternoon, as we head through the afternoon, it moves away. The rainfall moves away, the temperature starts to drop a little bit, and so it doesn't look like too bad afternoon. So if we go back to these maps, it's all maybe may all be a little bit confusing seeing all this, but it is pretty self-explanatory really. So yeah, we move back to here. This is 11 AM, 2 PM and then 5 PM. We've got some clearer slots starting to move through, which will lead to a clear night tomorrow night. And as these clear slots come through, we're likely to see the temperatures start to drop away. So tomorrow night we're likely to see a frost in quite a few places. Anyway, that's all for the moment. I hope that wasn't a bit, well, wasn't too complicated, but hopefully we'll be able to use these charts a lot more in the future, and there's going to be some further upgrades to the software as well. So anyway, that's all for the moment. Goodbye.